Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining in this Facebook Live. And if you are watching this on replay, I hope you enjoy the comments. And please, I will be monitoring the comments, so by all means, be sure to keep commenting on the stream itself, and really looking forward to the conversation. So this is something new. I've never done a Facebook Live before. I've definitely watched them. So I'm just going to try and see how this works, and hopefully I'll get better at it, and that you all will be enjoying this too as well. So what I wanted to talk about today, and first of all, I'm Charlene Li. I'm an author and analyst, and I'm really very focused today these days on writing my next book, The Disruptor's Agenda. And so what I wanted to talk about today is one of the biggest challenges that I see in organizations, which is how do you actually create disruption? And in particular, what are the product services? What are the customers you should be going at? How do you lay this out from beginning to end? How do you have a strategy for disruption? And one of the questions I get asked all the time by companies trying to disrupt themselves is, what are the products or services we should be delivering? How do we think about what we should be creating? What should we be doing? And I find that in many cases in my research, that the most disruptive companies start with a different question. They put their customers first. They become completely obsessed with their customers. And then they think about the products and services that those customers want. So I think in many ways, one of the biggest problems with companies trying to disrupt themselves is that they're putting the products and services before their customers, when in fact, the most disruptive organizations are doing just the opposite. They're focusing on customers before they focus on their products and services. So I encourage you, if you are here, I see some people are joining the conversation. So by all means, keep listening. And if you have any questions as we go along, please post them, and I'll be stopping along the way to see if there are any questions. So, and thank you for the thumbs up and the hearts. Always good to know that this is working for you. So the first example I would love to give is Amazon. I think we all know that Amazon is a highly disruptive organization. And when you look at their leadership lessons that they have, the values that they have for leaders, one of the things that they have, the number one position, is customer obsession. And in particular, one of the things they do, excuse me for a second, I have a cold. One of the things they do is they really build into their processes what are customers doing. They're getting real-time feedback, and they build this deeply into the organization. So this isn't just something you bring up and think about when you're creating a product. It's something you live every single day, and that infuses every discussion that they have, every decision that they have. They are truly a customer-obsessed organization. But I think there's something, a little bit of a subtext underneath that. They're not just focused on their customers, they're really actively thinking about their future customers. And as a result, they're not just focused on meeting the needs of the customers of today, they're thinking about the customers of the future. And the one distinguishing thing, the only distinguishing thing that disruptive companies do super well compared to non-disruptive companies is that they focus on that future customer and the needs of that future customer. So I'll give you another example with Facebook. So one of the things that Facebook does is they again focus on customers, and I'll give you an example early on when they were competing as an up-and-comer against the 800-pound gorilla in the social media space, MySpace. Remember MySpace? Who has a MySpace account still? I actually have one still, and I check it every once in a while, but it's mostly entertainment focused. It's great, but if you're not entertainment focused, you're not going to be interested in MySpace. And Facebook is just so much more compelling. So one of the things that Facebook did early on was sort of an accident of their development. They created campus-based social networks. So if you were at Harvard, the first site for Facebook, everybody got onto there. So basically they had 50% penetration of the undergrad population within a month. And then after that, they started expanding to other college campuses around the Ivy League. And then they started adding high school students, because that was a natural social network that if you're in college, you want to connect with your friends still in high school. And they quickly realized that they were saturating the market. So where are they going to look for growth? We're looking around. We could penetrate every single college in the US and in the world, and then what happens? So they did something pretty astounding. They said, we're going to turn our back on our most loyal customers, our college students and high school students who love connecting with each other. And we're going to do the exact thing that they don't want to do. We're going to invite their parents over here to join the social network. So can you imagine the parents say, yeah, I want to be able to connect, see what my kids are doing, but also connect with my high school and college friends. So we know the history from there, billions of people on there. But Facebook had to be willing to turn its back on its existing customers, its loyal customers, its best customers, and really focus on the customers of the future. And if they were focused on the product instead, they would have suffered the fate of MySpace. So what did MySpace do in the face of all of this that was happening? They were focused on the product. They were focused on making it better, really doubling down on how do we make the MySpace experience even better for our customers. And while that was good, they were focused on the customers of today, not the customers of the future. So we know the history of Facebook and MySpace. In 2008, the two crossed paths. Facebook grew bigger than MySpace. MySpace reached its peak in 2008 and started declining after that. And MySpace is the behemoth that it is today. But one thing I want to also just give another example from one of our tech darlings of today is Netflix. And one of the things that Netflix has done is, again, back in, I'm forgetting the day, about 2013 or so, when they were moving from the red envelopes over to streaming. And one of the things they did is they introduced a very confusing two-tiered package that you would pay one set of subscriptions for streaming and another one for the red envelopes. So if you wanted to get your DVD still. And they really wanted to do this because the product demanded a more coherent way of paying for the service. And they wanted to elevate streaming and de-emphasize the red envelopes. What they didn't take into consideration was this felt like a doubling of the fees. It felt like very tone deaf in terms of understanding what customers did. What Netflix did is they put the product before they put the customers. And so in the explanation and the rollout, everything, it was just really bungled. And while Netflix apologized and tried to make this right, they tried renaming it different things, in the end, it was just really badly done because, again, they were trying to focus so much on moving the product forward, the service forward of the new subscription to streaming, rather than thinking and taking into consideration how are customers going to be thinking about this? How are they going to want to understand this? How is this product going to fit into their lives? So those are a couple quick examples. I just want to check the feed to see if there are any questions. None yet, which is fine. It looks like you all still are enjoying this. So what I wanted to do was to just end up with a few tips in terms of how to think about putting customers first before products and services. I think the first one is to look at your dashboard. Look at the actual dashboard that you have that guides your decisions on a day-to-day basis. What's on it? Are there product indications or are there customer metrics? How are you actually measuring and understanding what customers are needing, wanting, how strong your relationship is? I once was speaking with a CEO and I asked him, what's on your dashboard? Who are your customers? I mean, what's on your upper left-hand corner of your dashboard? And he kind of blushed and he was embarrassed and he goes, it's inventory turns. Inventory turns were what he was focused on. Historically, because they made products, they were focused on how many products were shipping. And I said, what would it take to replace inventory turns, a product point of view of the world, with a customer view of the world? And so he went back and said, okay, what are the customer metrics that really are going to drive our business? How do we need to be thinking and looking at our business from a perspective of much more customer-centric, customer-obsessed than being product-focused? The second thing is to really align your organization around who your customer is. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into organizations and I go, okay, show me your segmentation of customers. How do you think about them? How do you understand them? How are they different or similar from each other? And how are these segmentations and your understanding of these personas of customers built around the organization. And inevitably, I get like 5 or 8, sometimes 20 different decks of presentation upon presentation of this persona and that. We have 3 segments, we have 8 segments. There is no unified aligned view of who the customer is inside an organization. Not a single point of view, with many facets, of course, of that customer, but a single point of view of who that customer is. So take a look at all the ways you think about the customers inside your organization and say, how do we have a single view? Who are we trying to serve? Because if you're not aligned on who your customer is, how can you get obsessed about them? Can you really deeply think about that customer from the executives to the front lines if you don't know who that customer is? And the third thing I would say is to start what I would call a customer advisory board. And again, these 3 things don't cost a lot of money, and they can be done in any size organization, no matter where in the life cycle you are of disruption. These are 3 basic things around having a great business, but laying the foundation for disruption too. But I think the customer advisory board is one of the most interesting things I've seen companies do. Most people if they have a customer advisory board, they take their best and biggest customers and kind of reward them by putting them on the advisory board. And it's kind of a feel-good place. They might go wine and dine them off in some place in like Napa or Paris or something. But is it really working for you in terms of providing value into what your customers really want? If you really want to be disruptive, then find your most disruptive customers and put them on the advisory board. Don't take your best ones that are perfectly happy with you. Find the ones that are constantly pushing you past your comfort zone. The ones that you know who they are. They're the ones who call up the customer service department or call up your account manager and say, you know, you really disappointed me with this last update. This new product you just rolled out, it isn't at your normal level of excellence. You need to do this differently. So they're still very much on your side, but they just hold you to a totally different standard. And you also know that they're at the front edge of what customers are going to want in the future. So they will tell you where those leading indicators are. They will tell you where you need to bring the company. And then very importantly, give that customer advisory board, give your CAB a voice into the organization. Make sure that the executives hear what they say, are attending those, again, all levels, even your board. And then also make those findings from the CAB meetings available to the front lines. Because when they encounter customers with similar issues and needs, they can amplify them and elevate them into the organization. So those were my sort of prepared comments. This is a quick test of Facebook Live. I hope you enjoyed it. And by all means, I'm going to keep doing this, get better at it. I will be doing this in again about another 2 weeks or so, continuing with these talks around disruption. So encourage you to, if you're watching this on replay, to add comments to what I talked about. Would love to hear what you're thinking. And especially if you have examples of companies who are doing a great job of putting customers before products and their services, by all means, please let me know. You can find me on all the various social channels with my handle, Charlene Li, with my name, and even just comment right here into this Facebook Live stream. I really look forward to talking with you all in the future. Thanks and take care. Bye-bye.